I am bringing to you a discussion on right place and right time. How can you be always in the right place and right time and never be in the wrong time in the wrong place? So there has to be some timekeeping done by someone. So we have many phrases, understandings about time, because man is so involved with time. People want to know the best time to do something. So we have the saying, time will tell. We have another saying, time dragged on. We say best of times and worst of times. That's how the tale of two cities begin. We say time stood still, we say time tested. Then I want to introduce to you something called the time lock. We think of a village sometimes. There's a famous novel called Village in the Jungle, which was in a time lock. It's stuck in the 18th century kind of setting. It can happen to a life, and a time lock can come when you live in your past greatness or you live in your past bitterness. Then it's a time lock. Then there are others who are always in daydreams, futuristic, unrealistic. So how do we make the best of the present time? We have a promise: God makes all things beautiful in His time and in its time. So everything has its time, and God has a way of making it beautiful in His time. We have the term stitching time. We have this saying, when the time of an idea comes, it's unstoppable or very powerful. Then you say your life is on borrowed time, unforgettable time, dead on time. Then this concept of redeem the time. Especially it says when times are evil, we can redeem that our time, our children's time, from the evil that is going around us. How can that be? How is that possible? What can make, in the midst of evil, for us to have a right time, a favored time? So this is what we are going to look at today. There's an appointed time for everything. There is a time for every event under heaven. That is, if you believe that there is a good Father in heaven, He watches over your time. My time is in His hands, said the psalmist. A time to give birth and a time to die, a time to what is planted. So there are set times like that for sowing and reaping, and when we do it in that correct season, we get the best harvest of our life for that season. So here is a saying that the right man is like a tree planted by the river of water. His life is like a flowing stream, and a blessing comes, a right harvest comes, prosperity comes to him along the stream. So right time, right stream. The righteous man is like a tree planted by the river of water, bringing forth his fruit in right season, and his leaves will not wither. That is a promise. He has made everything beautiful in His time. So I want to introduce time as a seed that germinates towards the harvest. I want to introduce time as a stream that comes into your life to keep connected with it. And time is also a door. When one door closes behind you, another door opens in front of you. Suppose you go for an interview and it's due to begin at 9 a.m. and you're not quite sure of the room, and you keep opening doors. Oh, not that room, and you're still in the corridor. You haven't got into the right room, and then someone says that it's a further end, the last door, and you go and open the last door. It's a smelly toilet, and now it's 9:30, and you have spent all the time on the corridor, and you missed the interview time. Life can be like that. We don't want to miss our best interview, next appointment, and we don't want to waste our time on a corridor. So He has made everything beautiful in His time. He also has planted eternity in men's hearts and minds, a divinely implanted sense of a purpose working through the ages, which nothing under the sun but God alone can satisfy. so that men cannot find out what God has done from the beginning to the end unless they engage with God. So this is about the right time for everything that God has for your life. My times are in His hands. And look at this phenomenon. I again saw under the sun that the race is not to the swift and the battle is not to the stronger. So life is described as a race and life is described as a battle. And neither is bread to the wise, nor wealth to the knowledgeable, nor favor to men of ability. For time and chance overtake them all. So there is someone who can make you win the race, though you are not the favorite, and give you strength for the battle, though you are naturally not strong. You understand that? So that's called favor, and the time that comes from the Good Shepherd, who is the great equalizer. So this is a verse about the great equalizer, that from him comes a time and a favorable opportunity, notwithstanding your background, notwithstanding your past errors. That's why he's called the great equalizer, so that what you have done wrong in the past can be overcome, because he gives you yet another time and yet another favorable opportunity. So you have heard this before. Man's extremity is God's opportunity. You have heard that before. Now see the other side of this. Moreover, man does not know his time. Like fish caught in a treacherous net and birds trapped in a snare, so the sons of men are ensnared at an evil time, when it suddenly falls on them. Now, we don't want to be caught in an evil time, isn't it? We don't want to have a time that a sudden evil came. So that's why we don't want to be in the wrong place at the wrong time. We want to be in the right place at the right time. So how can we ensure that? That is why the Good Shepherd said, He makes our path straight. He said He will make our paths of righteousness for His name's sake. So those paths are straight, no crooked places, no hidden pits, no boulders to obstruct you, no sharp bends to take you off the track. That's His promise to us. He is our Good Shepherd. I shall not want. He makes me to lie down in green pastures, and He leads me beside still waters. So there's opportunities that comes to us. So general dwelling in green pastures with no poison, and specific leading up to fountains of prosperity on our way. And He leads me in the paths of righteousness. So how do you hit the green pastures? And how do you get to this fountains of prosperity? He leads me in the paths of righteousness. So at that right time, He leads us in a straight way, free from peril, but He has to lead us. So His word is a lamp unto our feet and a light unto our path. So this is the promise, how we will not be caught in a treacherous net like a fish, or like a bird trapped in a snare. So there are ensnaring times, there are evil times. It suddenly comes. You are in the wrong place. An arrow was flying, it hit you. You are in the wrong place. It might have been aimed at you, coming from far. It might have been sorcery. So this is how people suddenly come into noonday destruction. When things are so good, but suddenly, this can happen to a country. Things are so good, but suddenly, it's like an evil spell came over. So we are asked to redeem the time from evil that is around us, and He promises that it is possible. So I want to leave this thought in your heart and mind, and this promise: at the set time that God appoints, He will judge with justice. At the set time God appoints, He will judge with equality. So when we tend to fret about evildoers, lose our peace and get angry, remember this promise: at the set time that God appoints, God will judge with justice. It also says, at an acceptable time, O God, we will come to you. Abundance of your steadfast love and your saving faithfulness. So these are some indications how time is a stream that moves through our life, and time is a corridor where doors open at a set time when the Good Shepherd is leading you. So may this help you to understand how time can work for you rather than against you. Thank you for listening.